There's one issue that construction leaders always face on every project and in every organization, and it's not about schedule, it's not about budget, and it's not about scope. Whether you're a project manager, site super, VP, or CEO, the biggest risk on any job comes down to one thing: people. But let me ask you a question. Despite this consistent and ubiquitous issue, what training did you ever receive on effectively dealing with people? Communication, conflict resolution, empathy, leadership? We spend years learning how to read drawings, manage schedules, write contracts, and coordinate trades. We can calculate a load, sequence a pour, close a bid under pressure. We are technically excellent. And then we get promoted into leadership. And suddenly, the job is almost entirely about human beings, about motivation, conflict, trust, communication, and culture. And we were never taught any of it. We've sent an entire generation of leaders into the most complex, high-stakes, people-driven industry on earth, completely unprepared for the most important part of the job. And we're paying for it in ways we are only beginning to understand. Here's what it actually costs us. Every year, the North American construction industry loses 400,000 workers to retirement. That number gets talked about constantly. Labor shortage this, talent pipeline that. And yes, it is a real and serious problem. But there's a darker number nobody wants to put on a conference slide. We're losing another 25,000 people per year to mental health crises: suicide, substance misuse, burnout, not retiring, not moving industries, gone. And for every one of those, there are dozens more suffering in silence on your sites and in your offices right now, showing up, getting it done, barely holding it together. Construction has one of the highest suicide rates in any industry on earth, higher than the military, higher than first responders. The same people who build the hospitals where lives are saved are dying at a rate that should be front page news, and instead it gets a footnote at a safety conference. We've built the safest industry in history when it comes to hard hats and harnesses, but we've done almost nothing to protect what's underneath. Here's what makes all of this so urgent, because this isn't just a today problem. This is a collision that's already happening and will continue well into the future. Think about what we're actually up against right now, all at the same time. Projects are getting more complex, schedules are getting shorter, budgets are getting tighter, contracts are getting more onerous. The margin for error keeps shrinking while the stakes keep growing. At the same time, we're hemorrhaging the people who know how to navigate all of that, the experienced leaders, the seasoned superintendents, the veterans who've seen it all before. They're walking out the door faster than we can find, hire, and train the replacements. And the people coming in to fill those gaps, they're talented, they're capable, but they're green. And they're entering an industry that has never been harder to work in, while carrying a level of mental and emotional fragility that previous generations simply didn't talk about. So let me put the formula plainly. More complex work, less time, less money, fewer experienced people, a workforce that is more stretched, more stressed, and more vulnerable than at any point in recent memory. Now ask yourself the honest question. What do you think is going to happen? If we keep leading the way we've always led, if we keep treating people as resources to be consumed rather than human beings to be developed, the answer is not complicated. The cracks that are already visible will become fractures. The people we can least afford to lose will leave first, and the industry that builds civilization will struggle to build its own future. Something has to change, and it has to start with the people at the top. My name is Angelo Suntres. I've spent 20 years in construction doing what I was told. I learned the technical craft, I put in the hours, I managed the budgets, fought the battles, and climbed the ladder all the way to senior management. And the whole way up, I kept noticing the same thing. The projects that fell apart, the ones that end in litigation, blown budgets, and burnt out teams, they almost never failed because of technical problems. They failed because of people. Trust problems. A breakdown in communication that nobody caught in time because nobody had the skills or whereabouts to raise their hand and say something was wrong. And the projects that succeeded, the ones that finished on time, under budget, with a team that actually wanted to work together again on the next one, those were built on something you won't find in any contract document or project management platform. They were built on relationships, on trust, on leaders who understood the most important thing they were managing wasn't a schedule, it was a group of human beings. I've seen both sides of this close up. I've been the guy following orders in a culture that rewarded toughness and punished vulnerability. And I've been the leader who decided there had to be a better way, and I went looking for it. That search led me to write 2 books, The Human Side of Construction and Rebuild Construction, and to spend years working directly with leaders and organizations who are trying to do things differently. All of it had been trying to answer one question that I couldn't shake. How do we fix construction culture before construction culture fixes us? That question is why I'm launching the Human Side of Construction podcast. This is not another show about shiny new tools or venting about industry issues. We're discussing solutions to construction's biggest challenges where it matters most. You can have the best tech stack, but tools only work when the people using them are equipped, engaged, and empowered. And right now, we're investing billions in technology and almost nothing in the humans asked to operate it. This show is about closing that gap. We're going to go deep on the conversations that matter most, the ones that senior leaders tell me privately are keeping them up at night, but that rarely make it onto the agenda of a leadership retreat or a board meeting. How do you transfer 30 years of institutional knowledge, the kind that lives in a superintendent's gut, not in a software platform, to the Gen Z workforce before it retires out the door and takes everything with it? How do you build psychological safety in an industry where showing weakness has always felt like career suicide, where the unwritten rule for generations has been suck it up, get it done, and don't complain? How do you lead 4 completely different generations on the same job site, each with different values, different communication styles, different expectations of what a career should look like, without losing half of them in the process? How do you rebuild trust in an industry that has become so transactional, so adversarial, so focused on protecting the margin that relationships that actually make projects work have been slowly eroded? And underneath all of it, how do you develop leaders who can actually lead people, not just manage projects, not hit milestones, but genuinely bring out the best in the humans on their team? These are not soft questions. They are not HR problems. They are strategic imperatives for every organization that wants to be standing and competitive at the end of this decade. Here's what I know after 20 years in this industry. The construction leaders who will win in the next decade are not going to be the ones with the best technology stack or the most aggressive growth strategy. They're going to be the ones who figured out how to build trust faster, develop people deeper, retain talent longer, and create cultures where the best and brightest actually want to show up and stay. Because here's the truth nobody in this industry wants to say out loud. You can have the best BIM model, the most sophisticated scheduling software, an AI that can predict cost overrun 3 months before it happens. But if your people don't trust each other, if your foremen are afraid to raise problems, if your PMs are burning out, if your field and office are still fighting the same wars they were 20 years ago, none of it matters. Technology amplifies culture. If the culture is broken, all you've done is break things faster. The industry is changing whether we want it to or not. The workforce is changing. The expectations are changing. The definition of leadership is changing. You can be part of that change, or you can become a cautionary tale. I've seen both. I know which one I'd rather be, and I think you do too, which is probably why you're still listening. If you work in construction, if you lead people, run organizations, manage teams, or are just starting to figure out what kind of a leader you want to be, this show is for you. Every episode, we are going to bring you real conversations with real people who are living these challenges and finding real solutions. No theory for the sake of theory, no warm and fuzzy platitudes, just honest, direct, practical thinking about the most important problems our industry is facing and what we can actually do about them. Hit subscribe, turn on the notifications. Our first full episode drops soon, and we're coming out swinging. We're starting with a deep dive with an industry titan about how culture can build $1 billion business. I'm Angelo Suntres. This is the human side of construction. Let's get to work. There's a lot to do. If you're a leader in the construction industry and want to discuss how you are addressing workforce challenges in your organizations, or if you have a construction experience that you want to share with the world, we want to hear from you. Reach out to me at angelo@hsoc.one, that's ANGELO @hsoc.one, to see how we can work together.